Hello and welcome to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's broadcast of Michigan softball. I'm Morris Fabry alongside Jeremy Parks, and we are here at Alumni Field on this dreary Tuesday afternoon to bring you Michigan versus Eastern Michigan. The Wolverines are coming into this game, having taken 2 of 3 at Minnesota this weekend. They're coming in with a 33-6 record and taking on an Eastern Michigan team that's 9-21. Jeremy, tell us a little bit about Eastern Michigan.
Well, today is definitely going to be the battle for Washtenaw County. Who will run Ann Arbor, the Wolverines or the Eagles? Eastern has had some struggles this season. 9 of their wins coming in a short 4-game win streak, including a few notable wins against Villanova and Robert Morris. But aside from that, it's been a bit of a tough year for the Eagles, struggling to put a lot of runs on the board. They've lost about 6 games by run rule, and the pitching just has been a little bit shoddy. So they're going to send Minsker out there. She's rocking a 5.56 ERA. We'll see what she's able to do for them today, but it's really going to come down to the pitching being able to stop this Wolverines offense.
Eastern Michigan going to have to bring their best to beat a Michigan team that has been rolling as of late. Michigan will send to the circle the big senior lefty, number 17, Haley Wagner. Today is actually Haley Wagner's birthday, so I'd say the best present that she could get is going out there, having her best stuff, and shutting down this Eagles lineup. Wagner with a 2.11 ERA on the year, 14-2 record in 17 starts. And we're almost ready to get underway. She will face Miranda Barnes, the junior lefty, playing left field for the Eagles as we get underway here. Your umpires today are Elizabeth Hammerschmidt behind home plate as Wagner winds up and delivers a fastball in there. Miranda Barnes cuts and misses, so that's strike 1, and we're underway.
Wagner definitely has not brought her absolute best stuff as of late. Her ERA's inflated to an unbelievable 2.11. She was sitting at about a 1.5 earlier this year.
Wagner's 0-1 pitch is bunted foul down the third baseline. Wagner quickly ahead of the count, 0-2 on Barnes. Your home plate ump, Elizabeth Hammerschmidt. At first base, Brian Haraberta, and at third base, Andy Trent.
And to touch on Wagner again, it's kind of hard to believe that an ERA inflating to 2.11 is indicative of Wagner not bringing her best stuff. Definitely one of the premier pitchers in women's college softball. But as of late, had a few struggles in their last home stretch here against Iowa, but we'll see what she can bring here today.
Wagner readies. The 0-2 pitch to Barnes is high and out of the zone. Taken for a ball. Catcher Aiden Falk had to rise out of her stance to grab that one. The count moves to 1-2.
Wagner definitely likes to try and climb the ladder when she gets ahead in the counts here, try and draw a few cuts from the Eagles.
Wagner readies, looks in. The 1-2 pitch taken outside for a ball. The count evens at 2-2.
Definitely a little bit of room to play, just trying to paint some corners, maybe draw a couple loose cuts.
Barnes hitting 197 on the year for Eastern Michigan, has 20 strikeouts. On her own, the 2-2 pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3, Haley Wagner starting off the game on a good note there.
Definitely, she brought the good stuff there, got ahead in the count. That's going to be key for her today. Starting off, getting up in the count 0-2, that's going to be the key for her, keeping ahead of these Eagles hitters and not allowing them to fall back into hitters' counts.
That'll bring up the right-handed hitter, Jen Lucas, the center fielder for Eastern Michigan. She's hitting 319 on the year. Wagner looks in, delivers. Her first pitch is a fastball taken high out of the zone for ball 1. Good eye by Lucas. That one came in at about the letters. Lucas has 4 home runs, 15 RBI for the Eagles. Wagner readies. The 1-0 pitch is taken on the outside corner at the knees for a strike. Wagner coming right back in there, pouring in the fastball, and Lucas just watched it go by.
Great location there, painting her corners like Picasso out there early on in this game.
The art of pitching from Haley Wagner. She readies. The 1-1 pitch is grounded softly right back to Wagner. She'll field it on a couple hops and toss it over to first, where Taylor Swearingen will make the catch, and 2 up, 2 down early on for the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
And another good pitch again from Wagner there. Just drawing a bit of an on-top cut there from Lucas, getting sort of topping the ball, just allowing a small roller right back to her for the easy out.
And now up steps Michelle Kriegshauser for Eastern Michigan. Wagner's first pitch is a breaking ball taken in the dirt for ball 1. I'm sorry, that's Michelle Kriegshauser.
Kriegshauser.
All right. Kriegshauser, the right fielder for Eastern Michigan, hitting a gaudy 372 on the year, leading her team in home runs with 5. Wagner looks in, gets the sign. The 1-0 pitch is taken right down the heart of the plate for a called strike.
Just a little bit of fuego there from Wagner, and Kriegshauser wants nothing to do with that fastball there.
Wagner never afraid to just roll in the heat. These Eastern Michigan hitters have been outmatched so far today. Wagner readies the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss on a ball at the knees, a little off the plate outside. Kriegshauser not able to catch up to that one.
And Haley Wagner doesn't present the biggest speed arm in softball, but what she does with that fastball, she's able to locate it where the hitters can't get to it, and that's what makes her special.
Wagner looks in, shakes off her catcher. Now the 1-2 pitch taken just outside. Falk could not frame that one onto the black, and the count now moves to 2-2. It's a very cold day out here. The wind blowing slightly in from center field. Outfield has Kriegshauser shaded a couple steps deep. The 2-2 pitch from Wagner swung on and belted high, deep into the air, into left field. And before you can take a look at it, that ball is way gone over the left field fence. Eastern Michigan jumps out to an early lead.
Well, Wagner left that one over the plate. Kriegshauser saw it all the way. She was looking for it. She took it and belted that right to the right of the scoreboard out here in left field, and before you know it, it's a 1-0 lead for the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
That was a 2-2 pitch from Wagner, who's had so far up until that swing very smooth sailing, no strong contact from the Eastern Michigan Eagles. But that one she left up over the plate, and Kriegshauser got all of it, absolutely crushed that one. And some lucky girls out beyond the left field fence will maybe have a souvenir to take home.
And not necessarily a very huge power hitter as Kriegshauser, only her 6th home run of the year, so just a great cut there.
The first pitch from Wagner to Abby Clark is a called strike on the outside corner. Wagner has to battle back and get out of the inning as Clark is up with 2 outs and nobody on. Wagner readies the 0-1 pitch to Clark is a breaking ball in the dirt taken for a ball. The count evens to 1-1.
But not necessarily the end of the world for Wagner. She's definitely got a little room to wiggle. She knows she's got a great offense behind her. So right now it's just a matter of playing a little pitch and catch with Aiden Falk here, getting out of this inning with minimal damage done.
That offense a bit hit and miss this week, and they scored 9 runs in 2 games against the Minnesota Golden Gophers. One of those games was a run rule victory, a 9-1 victory in 6 innings. That was on Sunday. But on Friday, they only scored 1. So Wagner hoping the bats are awake for the Michigan Wolverines today. The 1-1 pitch is swung on and missed. A fastball. She blew it right by Clark on the outer edge.
A good ghost pitch there, and Clark just couldn't catch up to it. Definitely battling back here in the count to make it hers 1-2.
Infield and outfield at normal depth. Wagner looks in, gets the sign. The windup and the 1-2 pitch swung on and missed. Strike 3, and that's going to do it for the top of the first inning. Wagner gets a couple strikeouts and a ground out, but sandwiched in between that was a solo home run for Michelle Kriegshauser. And we head to the bottom of the first with the Michigan Wolverines trailing 1-0. So a quick update, your full lineups today for Eastern Michigan. It'll be Barnes, Miranda Barnes, the left fielder leading off, followed by Jen Lucas, the center fielder, followed by the right fielder, Michelle Kriegshauser. The first baseman, Abby Clark, hits 4th for them. At second base, hitting 5th is Katie Wyman. Hitting 6th, the catcher, Taylor Wagner. Hitting 7th, the designated player, Lindsey Rich. Hitting 8th, the third baseman, Abby Davidson. Hitting 9th, the shortstop, Haley Hostetler. And on the circle for Eastern Michigan today is Abby Minsker. Tell us a little bit about Abby Minsker, Jeremy.
Well, Minsker's seen limited action, just 10 appearances so far this season out of the 30 games that Eastern Michigan has played, but definitely a high ERA, flashing a 5.56 ERA coming into this one. She still pitched 22 2/3 innings, giving up 18 earned runs, so averaging a little bit under a run per inning. Definitely not the strongest stat line, but she's definitely going to feel a little bit more comfortable going into the bottom of the first here with a 1-run lead behind her. And sometimes don't show up Michigan offense, I suppose.
Minsker, not exactly a strikeout pitcher, more of a pitcher to contact, as she only has 7 strikeouts recorded in those 22 2/3 innings. So she will face Sierra Lawrence, the center fielder, Sierra Romero, the second baseman, and Kelly Christner to lead off this inning for the Michigan Wolverines. They will be followed by the right fielder, Kelsey Susella, hitting 4th. Hitting 5th for the Wolverines is the third baseman, Lindsay Montemurano. Hitting 6th will be the pitcher, Haley Wagner, unless she is hit for by a designated player. A little unsure on how that's going to work today so far. And hitting 7th in the lineup will be Aiden Falk, the catcher. Hitting 8th, the first baseman, Taylor Swearingen. Hitting 9th, the shortstop, Abby Ramirez.
The designated player today is Becca Garfinkel down on our lineup sheet for today, but again, not exactly sure how she's going to work her way into the game yet today.
So we're about ready to get underway. Minsker stares in. The first pitch to Lawrence is taken on the outer edge there for a called strike. The fastball about thigh high, and Lawrence just watched it go by.
A good opening pitch there from Minsker. Put it right where she wanted it.
Minsker readies the 0-1 pitch, off speed, off the inner edge, and taken for a ball. Good eye there from Lawrence, who looked like she might want to go around on that one, but able to hold up.
And she thought about taking a cut, but did in fact hold up, so a good eye there.
The 1-1 pitch from Minsker, off-speed pitch, took a lot of velocity off that one, and Lawrence off balance watched it go by for strike 2.
A little bit of an Ethos-type floater pitch in there, just falls right in, and Sierra Lawrence just very confused by it, not quite sure what to do with it.
The 1-2 pitch to Lawrence is a fastball in the dirt, blocked well by the catcher Wagner. The count even now at 2-2 on Sierra Lawrence. Lawrence hitting .379 on the year. Did hit a home run in Saturday's game, Saturday's victory over the Golden Gophers, moving her to 9 home runs on the year. Minsker readies the 2-2 pitch to Lawrence is fouled off behind home plate, chopped, and the catcher Wagner will track that down and toss it back to her pitcher.
Good plate protection there from Lawrence as she's sitting back waiting for something tasty to bite at from Minsker.
Yeah, that one off the plate inside, maybe a bit below the knees, but Lawrence not taking any chances with that one. Minsker ready, the 2-2 pitch, taken low in the dirt again. Taylor Wagner let that one get by her, and the count moves full on Sierra Lawrence.
And that's what's so important about fouling off and fighting off those pitches when it's a 2-2 count and working her way into a full count now, a little bit more comfortable here. And Minsker is going to have to bring her good stuff.
Pressure's on here. The payoff pitch to Lawrence is taken low for ball 4, and Lawrence drops down to first base, a leadoff walk for the leadoff hitter for these Michigan Wolverines.
Good bat there for Lawrence. Definitely worked Minsker to her advantage. Fell behind in the count, but fought off all the put-away pitches and worked her way to first base. Definitely a strong at bat.
Sierra Lawrence, perhaps the premier base-stealing threat on this Wolverines team, too. 17 for 18 in her attempts this year, so look for her maybe to go. Minsker's first pitch to Sierra Romero is taken belt high inside corner for strike 1.
Lawrence not taking too much of a lead on the first pitch there. Just a bit of a jump as the ball left Minsker's hand.
Perhaps just trying to get the timing right. Minsker, the 0-1 pitches taken outside and low for a ball. We've seen time after time pitchers try to nibble on that outside corner at the knees on Sierra Romero, because if you make one mistake, she will belt it very far.
And the only problem with that today, Hammerschmidt showing a little bit of a tight strike zone, so that might not play to the advantage of Minsker.
Minsker steps onto the mound, looks in, the 1-1 pitch bounces in front of home plate. Lawrence headed down to second, slides in safely with an easy stolen base. That one, not sure if that one got out of Minsker's hand wrong, as that one bounced maybe 20 feet in front of home plate.
And Wagner, the catcher, didn't have a whole lot of time after the ball finally did get into her mitt. Definitely impeded by bouncing on the ground there. I believe it touched twice before it actually got into her glove.
Yeah, no chance to get out of the crouch when the ball's coming in that slowly.
And with a speedy runner like Lawrence, she's got that base all day.
2-1 pitch, Romero squares to bunt, pulls back, and takes it for ball 3, low and away.
She's going to have the green light here from Coach Carol Hutchins. So we'll see if she gets anything that she wants to take a cut at.
Romero still a 500 hitter on the year with 13 home runs and 45 RBI. The 3-1 pitch, swinging a shot back up the middle. That'll be a base hit into center field. Lawrence rounding third, headed for home. The throw bounces in, not in time. Romero heading down to second on the throw. She slides in ahead of the tag. An RBI single. Romero moves to second on the throw, and before Eastern Michigan records an out, Michigan back tied up in this one.
Well, two great things there from Romero. Definitely took her time deciding what she wanted to hit, found a good one, got a rip, but then the base running as well. When the center fielder out there for Eastern Michigan, Lucas, decided to go to home plate with the ball, she took off the second the ball left her hand, and that allowed her to easily get into second base.
Jen Lucas's one-hop throw to home plate, I believe it was the pitcher Minsker who decided not to cut that one off, and that proved costly. Now Christner steps up to the plate and takes the first pitch on the outer edge for a called strike. That one, a fastball about thigh high.
Well, some early troubles here for Minsker. Let's see what she does with a runner on second and none out, already giving up an earned run.
Doing a good job of getting ahead in the count on Christner. The 0-1 pitch is taken low and away for ball one. The count even at 1-1 on Kelly Christner, who has been one of the hottest hitters in this Wolverines lineup as of late.
And Minsker not really struggling to find the plate early. The balls have been a byproduct of her avoiding these hefty bats here early.
The 1-1 pitch is tapped off the end of the bat toward third base. They look down to third base, and the throw over to first is wild. Gets away. Christner heading to second. Romero heading to third on the errant throw, and now going home as the first baseman was taking her sweet time. Romero with some alert base running scores a run, and that's just a total debacle for the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Well, Davidson, the third baseman, thought she had an easy play to throw to first. Definitely errant, came up into the left-hand side of the first baseman, Clark. That one got away from her. And then over in left field, you've got Kriegshauser. Not quite sure what she was thinking, but yet again, a great piece of base running by Romero to take her time, think about it. And the second that she saw that she was going to be able to make a run for home, she didn't even need to slide.
Yeah, Romero caught Kriegshauser sleeping. Kriegshauser backing up that throw from third to first, doing a good job of that. But Romero took a little bit of a lead, edged her way off of third base, watched Kriegshauser, and as soon as Kriegshauser turned to toss it back to her pitcher, Romero took off toward home plate. Just really a savvy play from a savvy player, an excellent player in Romero.
And that's what great base running is going to get you. Essentially 2 free bases and a run for Romero from smart base running.
And that'll bring up the left-handed hitter, Kelsey Susalo, who takes the first pitch off of the outer edge for ball one.
Eastern Michigan still to record an out in this inning. Runner on second yet again. 2 runs given up now.
The 1-0 pitch to Susalo is an off-speed pitch in the dirt off the plate outside. Susalo lets it go by for a ball. Wagner doing a good job of sliding over and blocking that one, so Christner remains on second base. The count now 2-0 on Susalo.
And you got to think it's going to start to be a mental battle here for Abby Minsker as she starts to fall behind in these counts and give up early runs.
The 2-0 pitch is laced through the hole between first and second. A base hit into right field. The throw coming in will be cut off, and Christner will score from second base. An RBI single from Kelsey Susalo, and the runs just piling up for the Wolverines here. Still no outs in the bottom of the first. The Wolverines winning 3-1.
Well, we mentioned after the solo shot from Kriegshauser, hoping Haley Wagner would be comfortable giving the bottom of the first inning back to these Michigan bats. They've definitely had their days where they don't show up, but that is not a problem here early today. Already 3 runs without an out recorded. Savvy base running, strong hitting, and a little bit of struggles for Minsker as she's leaving some stuff over the plate, and the Wolverines are just having easy fodder.
Wolverines swinging like batting practice up there, and now up for the Wolverines is Lindsey Montemurano. Her first pitch to her sails over the head of the catcher Wagner, and Susalo scampers down to second base with ease.
It looks like Minsker was trying to perform that same loose, take everything off it, drop ball in there, but it did no dropping except when it was over the head of the catcher Wagner.
Yeah, it dropped straight into the backstop, and now Montemurano ahead in the count 1-0 with Susalo in scoring position for the Wolverines. Minsker readies the 1-0 pitch, a fastball in there at the knees on the outside corner. Good location, good bounce back there from Minsker to even the count up at 1-1.
A good centering pitch for her, just allowing her to get back into that count and not fall behind here. Still facing a dangerous hitter yet again, though, as every hitter in this Wolverines lineup is.
The 1-1 pitch is taken high for a ball. Montemurano only stands at about 5'7" in the box, so it's not necessarily the easiest task to zip one in her strike zone.
And she stands just about straight up, giving her as much of an advantage as she can with the strike zone.
And that one golfed into right field. It will settle into the glove of the right fielder Kriegshauser. Heading over to third and sliding in safely on the play is Susalo tagging up from second base.
And that ball did in fact roll by the third baseman Davidson. A poor throw again from Kriegshauser, not cut off by anybody. Floats right into the netting of the away dugout on the third base side. But Susalo's not going to take anything there. She's going to stay at third comfortably and leave it up to the pitcher, Haley Wagner.
The execution not exactly stellar for these Eastern Michigan Eagles here in the first inning. And that will bring up the right-handed hitter, the right-handed pitcher, left-handed pitcher, right-handed hitter, Haley Wagner. The first pitch to her from Minsker is in there for a called strike at the knees.
And you wouldn't think that the pitcher would be the most dangerous hitter in the lineup. Wagner is definitely not the most dangerous hitter, still hitting .211 in 9 games that she's batted in this season. So nothing to scoff at still.
The 0-1 pitch to Wagner is taken over the heart of the plate for a called strike 2. Wagner did, however, hit a home run, helping herself out against the Minnesota Golden Gophers in that win on Saturday for the Wolverines.
I think a big difference here for Minsker is she's not afraid of Wagner, so she's going to give her some pitches over the plate, which she's been a little bit testy and nervous with some of the earlier batters, and that's leading to some of the balls thrown early.
The 0-2 pitch is taken in the dirt for ball 1. Minsker going to take some time to collect herself and regroup and try to retire this Wolverines hitter, Wagner. The 1-2 pitch off speed taken high, well out of the zone. Wagner knew that one was going wild from the moment it left Minsker's hand. The count evens at 2-2.
Well, that's the third time she's tried that big curve to fall right into the plate, and it only worked the first time. The last one flew over the backstop, that one high again.
2-2 pitch is grounded foul down the third baseline, bounces off the dugout and almost into the waiting hands of Carol Hutchins. Couldn't quite make the play over there in foul territory.
Still a good job to fight that one off from Wagner. Keep herself alive here at 2-2.
Wagner taking some practice cuts now, stepping out of the box, getting ready to face Minsker, who steps back onto the circle. The 2-2 pitch taken low and outside. Good eye there by Wagner. That one, a fastball, pretty close to the zone.
And here we see the Wolverines working the count yet again, not allowing themselves to get an easy out, or not allowing Eastern Michigan to produce an easy out, forcing the count full.
The payoff pitch now to Wagner. Check swing on a pitch low and away. They appeal down to first, and no swing, so Wagner walks down to first with a walk there, working from an 0-2 count, battling her way back, and continuing this Wolverines rally here with one out. That brings up Aiden Falk.
Home plate umpire Elizabeth Hammerschmidt did take her time, thought about it, calling it herself, and then did appeal down to the first base umpire, Brian Haraberta, who said that Wagner did not go, and it appears she's going to get a pinch runner here.
Appealing down to first on a check swing, that's something a little bit relevant to Tigers fans, as yesterday's victory over the Minnesota Twins ended with a bit of a controversial decision by the home plate ump to not appeal down to first base. A bit of hubris that is not present here in Hammerschmidt. Pinch running now is Olivia Richbalski. Pinch running for Wagner. The first pitch now to Aiden Falk is a fastball taken off the plate outside for ball 1.
Well, Wagner did her job there, kept the inning alive, didn't produce an out, got herself down to first, and allows Richbalski to make a fast runner for her over at first.
The 1-0 pitch now to Falk is a fastball off the plate outside. Again, at the knees there, but not able to paint the black, and Minsker behind in the count 2-0. Minsker working quickly, stares in, throws. And her 2-0 pitch is again taken off the plate outside. Count 3-0 on Aiden Falk. Ready to load the bases with Taylor Swearingen waiting on deck.
Well, she's got a place to put her, but do you really want to put her there is the question that you got to ask yourself if you're Abby Minsker out there. Falling behind in the count 3-0, that's been a problem early on for her, falling behind. She's going to take a second here to readjust.
Given the command issues that she has faced so far, hard to imagine she wants to leave the strike zone here, and that's exactly what she will do. Misses low for ball 4 straight balls to Aiden Falk. The base is now loaded with one out for Taylor Swearingen.
Wow. Minsker's playing with fire here. She's going to have her battery come and talk to her. Catcher Wagner going to come out to the mound. It appears as though the shortstop Hostetler and the second baseman Wyman are going to come in there and discuss things with her as well, just trying to calm her down. And this is a sticky situation for Abby Minsker.
Now, interesting stat on Taylor Swearingen. She's had 12 hits and 52 at-bats on the year, but 8 of those 12 hits have gone over the fence for home runs. So a bit of an unorthodox approach at the plate, but one that might pay off right now.
A little bit choosy. We'll see.
Minsker looks in, her first pitch to Swearingen. Swing and a miss. A big cut on a fastball on the outer edge. Swearingen looking to add to that home run total on that one.
Well, as they say, Swearingen knows there's ducks on the pond, and she wants to bring those ducks around to roost.
Swearingen steps out, steps back into the box. Minsker stares in. The 0-1 pitch, off speed, taken for a called strike on the outside corner. Went with a bit of a slider there, and Swearingen left frozen in the batter's box.
And a good decision by the Eastern Michigan catcher Wagner to come out and talk to Minsker right before Swearingen stepped in the box, probably discussing the pitches to throw before she steps up into the box, and they're working well for her.
The 0-2 pitch, fastball taken low in the dirt. Good block there by Taylor Wagner to stop the runners from moving around on her. The count now 1-2 on Swearingen. Swearingen hitting .231 on the season for the Wolverines. Minsker working quickly. The 1-2 pitch to Swearingen. Fastball inside corner. Called strike 3. Swearingen heads back to the bench, and a big second out there for Abby Minsker and the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Boy, that is very big for her. She's given up 3 runs. She's facing the bases loaded, and boy, did she do herself a favor with some solid pitching there. Found her corners, and Swearingen just didn't even think about cutting on that strikeout pitch.
And that'll bring up the shortstop, Abby Ramirez. The first pitch to Ramirez taken on the outer edge for a called strike. Minsker doing a good job of pounding the zone against these Wolverines hitters. Count 0-1, Minsker in a rhythm, working quickly, steps back into the circle. The 0-1 pitch off speed, called strike on the outside corner. Abby Ramirez bamboozled by that one.
That arching, low, take everything off a pitch works again for Minsker.
0-2 count on Ramirez. Ramirez shows bunt, pulls back. Fastball misses off the plate outside for ball 1. Ramirez still has the bases loaded for her with 2 outs, but has to work from behind now. The count 1-2 on the shortstop, who is hitting .312 on the year. Minsker readies the 1-2 pitch to Ramirez, swinging a pop-up foul and off the screen behind home plate. Ramirez fouling off a good pitcher's pitch and keeping the at-bat alive.
We've definitely seen that early from the Michigan hitters, fighting off a lot of 2-strike pitches, keeping themselves in the game.
Ramirez shows bunt again. Here's the 1-2 pitch, grounded softly and foul down the first base line. Ramirez spoiling some pitchers' pitches, just trying to make Minsker work even more than she has so far here in this first inning.
That one got Ramirez in close to the hands, but again, able to fight it off. Strong at bat nonetheless, definitely working the pitch count here early.
Minsker looks in. The 1-2 pitch to Ramirez, lined softly up the middle, fielded by the shortstop, Hostetler, who will step on second base, record the force out, and end the inning. So the Wolverines tally a 3 spot in the bottom of the first, but left 3 more on base. A rally that probably could have been more dies at the hands of the bottom of the lineup, and Haley Wagner will step out to the circle in the top of the second with a 3-1 lead.
Well, if you bat around, definitely 3 runs doesn't sound as bad as it could have been there for Minsker, and I guess she's going to feel all right with herself, still only down 2 runs as her team's going to come back up to bat against Wagner here in the top of the second.
Yeah, you got to give Minsker credit where credit is due. She's not much of a strikeout pitcher, but she was able to battle back and get the much-needed strikeout of Swearingen with 1 out and the pond full with ducks, and then able to induce some weak contact off of Ramirez's bat, battling back in the count. And Jeremy, we can both attest firsthand that it is incredibly cold out here. We're actually calling this game from outside of the friendly confines of our normal booth due to the number of other broadcasters calling this game. Alumni Field is just a popular place today. How do you think the cold is impacting this game?
Well, the cold definitely affects the muscles in anybody. Just anatomically, it's harder to move. So when you're a pitcher, when you're a hitter, it's going to be harder to get the arm around in the motion. As a pitcher, it's going to be harder to get your arms around on the swing if you're a hitter. So definitely thinking about swinging a millisecond or 2 earlier to get those arms around on the ball. We've seen a couple late cuts here, possibly a byproduct of the cold. But again, a lot of jumping around in between at-bats and pitches here in the outfield and infield, depending on if you're on defense, and then definitely huddling in close to those space heaters down in the dugouts when you're not out on the field, trying to stay as warm as possible and keep those muscles warmed up.
Yeah, and I think that we've also seen an adverse effect on the pitchers. That bit of numbness, lack of feeling that the cold induces in the hands has, I think, taken away from their command somewhat. I'm sure that Haley Wagner would love to use that as an excuse for the fastball. She hung over the plate when Kriegshauser went deep, and I'm sure that Abby Minsker would also like to find a scapegoat for the 3 runs she just surrendered. But regardless of what effects the cold is having, the fans have still come out here in droves, and they have come out prepared. We see a couple of heat tents out there down the third base line in the bleachers.
Definitely a great showing here despite the weather today.
Katie Wyman hitting first for the Eastern Michigan Eagles takes the first pitch high and outside for ball 1. Wagner tried to zip a fastball in there but could not find the zone.
We'll see what Wagner does here early. A little bit more comfortable now, 2-run lead.
Wagner readies the 1-0 pitch to Wyman is a fastball on the outer edge for a called strike. Great location there.
Good pitch there again from Wagner. Coming back, working herself back into the count again, 1-1. It's definitely early, but you don't want to fall behind regardless.
Wyman standing far up in the batter's box as her weight distributed evenly. The 1-1 pitch is lined foul down the first baseline. Swearingen could not get over and catch that one before it plopped down in the turf.
Oh, come on, Swearingen, lay out for that one. Good dive into the dirt would have gotten that ball.
Would have required quite a bit of range and a lot of use of muscles that have probably been rendered tighter than normal thanks to the dropping temperatures.
You love this. You love to see him sacrifice the body, though. Go for the catch.
I think she's relying on Wagner to get this one. The 1-2 pitch just off the plate outside, maybe a bit low to Wyman. The count now 2-2 on the sophomore, Katie Wyman.
Good eye by Wyman there, though, to not take a cut. That's definitely a tempting pitch to take there.
Wyman ready in the box. Wagner looks in, gets the sign, the windup, and the 2-2 pitch swung on and chopped toward third base. Monty Morano takes a couple steps over, throws over to first, and gets the out. Swearingen stretches, and they got Wyman by a couple steps. There's solid play by Monty Morano to charge that one.
A little bit of a routine ball. She definitely saw it coming early, made her charge in on it, and that got her all the time she needed to get that ball over to Swearingen at first to record the first out of the inning.
It looked like Wagner had a shot at that ball, but wisely conceded the position to Monte Morano, who had her momentum carrying toward first base. That will bring up the catcher, Taylor Wagner. Haley Wagner's first pitch to Taylor Wagner is fouled back to the backstop. Wagner on Wagner action here.
A classic battle. Who's the better Wagner? Who's the better team in Ann Arbor this game today? The battle for Washtenaw County, Eastern Michigan, and the University of Michigan.
You can feel the excitement in the air. My digits are tingling with excitement. Maybe that's just the cold. I don't know. Haley Wagner looks in, readies the 0-1 pitch to Taylor Wagner. Is a fastball high and out of the zone. Wagner lets it go by. The count moves to 1-1 on the catcher.
I don't know about you, Morris, but I might mistake this atmosphere in Alumni Field for a late November afternoon over in the big house. Bragging rights on the line.
The 1-1 pitch now from Haley Wagner is a fastball just off the plate outside. Fans wanted that one, but home plate umpire Hammerschmidt will not oblige. The count now moves to 2-1.
Definitely showing a conservative strike zone in the way she's calling the game so far today. A lot of those close pitches out on the edges are not being called, and you just have to adjust if you're in the circle.
Wagner, after a brief conference with her catcher Falk, gets the sign. The 2-1 pitch to Wagner is a called strike on the inside corner, coming right back in there, pouring the fastball with great command over the inner edge, and the count even at 2-2 on Taylor Wagner.
We'll see what Wagner decides to throw to Wagner here.
Wagner readies to throw to Wagner. The 2-2 pitch, swinging a chopper softly toward short. Ramirez fields on 2 hops, tosses across the diamond to Swearingen for the easy out, and now 2 up, 2 down again for the Eastern Michigan Eagles here in the second. They did the same last inning before Kriegshauser's solo home run broke open the scoring in this one.
The early showers definitely making the dirt in the infield a little bit tougher, making it a little bit of an easier hop. Definitely not as wild where that dirt to be bone dry. So still a good pick by Ramirez on 2 hops.
That'll bring up Lindsey Rich. Wagner's first pitch in on the hands, grounded on a couple skips, fielded by Swearingen over at first base. Steps to her left, steps on the bag, and that'll do it for the top of the second inning. You are listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's coverage of Michigan softball. Michigan taking a 3-1 lead here into the bottom of the second.
And definitely a good comeback inning there from Haley Wagner after giving up that solo shot to Kriegshauser in the first inning. Not taking anything from the Eagles in the top of the second there. Showed that she was definitely not rattled. Probably a little bit more comfortable after her friendly teammates gave her 3 runs to work with in the bottom of the first.
Wagner showing good poise to maintain that lead. Softball, it can really boil down to just winning innings, and the Wolverines won the first inning, and now Wagner puts them in a good position to win the second. This game, in a way, is the second half of a doubleheader. The Wolverines baseball and softball teams are holding with the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Over at Ray Fisher right now, the Wolverines baseball team, I would think, has a commanding lead on the Eastern Michigan Eagles. I know somebody just hit a home run You can tune into that broadcast on our other YouTube channel, but we would very much enjoy if you stayed and listened to us because we are putting our bodies on the line out here in the cold just for the sake of our beloved listeners.
We're fighting the cold, and the guys over at the Fish are definitely not in the same position as we are, so we do appreciate you either way turning into YouTube's WCBN Sports Channel 2 today. Please remember to subscribe to YouTube Channel 2 if you get the opportunity and you'd love to hear Mo and I make some more corny jokes and talk some softball.
Yeah, hopefully the host doesn't mute us. You can also hear us on the Daily Sports Report Monday through Thursday, 6 to 6:30, where you can hear even more corny jokes, or if that's not your speed, you can hear actual sports analysis. So ready to lead off here in the bottom of the second is the top of the Wolverines lineup. They did hit around, scoring 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Sierra Lawrence, Sierra Romero, and Kelly Christner will step up to the plate for the Wolverines here in the bottom of the second.
And last time we heard, the Wolverines were leading 6-1 over Eastern Michigan across the yard over at the Fish. That was about a half hour ago, so things have definitely changed since then. But they were in a commanding lead earlier on in the afternoon.
Minsker slowly striding toward the pitcher's rubber in the middle of the circle as Lawrence steps into the batter's box. Lawrence worked her way to a walk in her first at-bat. Looks to spark another rally in this one. The first pitch to Lawrence up and inside. Lawrence turns out of the way and takes it inside for ball 1.
Just a little chin music there early for Minsker, driving Lawrence back up and in. A little weave back there.
Minsker does have some mustard she can put on that fastball. The 1-0 pitch to Lawrence, again high and a bit inside. Lawrence not tempted to hack at that one. The count now 2-0 on the center fielder, Sierra Lawrence. Lawrence hitting .379 on the year with 9 home runs, 37 RBI, and on-base percentage of over .470. 2-0 pitch to Lawrence. Fastball just missed off the plate outside Wagner. The catcher, Wagner, held that there for an extra beat.
And you might guess after those first 2 pitches up and in that Sierra Lawrence was doing the lean back dance of the early 2000s courtesy of Fat Joe. But no, she has worked her up and in.
The 3-0 pitch now from Minsker is taken off the plate outside. Lawrence will stroll on down to first base with her second walk of the game, or second walk in as many innings, doing the job of the prototypical leadoff hitter, and that'll bring up Sierra Romero.
And a little bit of early issues again for Minsker here. Going to see what she can work up.
And a little bit of interest, a little interesting note here. Michelle Kriegshauser, the right fielder for Eastern Michigan, standing about a step off the warning track. They respect Romero's power. Romero takes the first pitch off the outer edge for a ball, low and away. Rain still trickling down slowly here at Alumni Field.
Going to be a mound meeting here between Minsker and Wagner, the battery that have seen some early struggles today. But again, it hasn't necessarily been that Minsker has struggled to find the strike zone. It's just that she's left a few too many over the strike zone and given the Wolverines a few too juicy pitches to hit.
Minsker working behind in the count for the second straight at bat. The 1-0 pitch to Romero is a fastball right over the heart of the plate for strike 1. I'm a little surprised Romero let that one go by, but given the fact that Minsker had just thrown 5 straight balls, maybe she did not have the green light right there.
Playing with fire there is Minsker testing Romero, and I guess Romero a little surprised that she came with it.
The 1-1 pitch is in the dirt. Good block there by Wagner to keep the soft ball in front of her. Lawrence not able to scamper down to second there. Lawrence did have a stolen base on a pitch in the dirt in the first inning. Hasn't really shown signs of repeating that feat so far. Maybe just waiting for the opportune moment. 2-1 pitch now from Minsker to Romero. Romero lets that one go by, dealt high right over the plate for strike 2.
And another good pitch there again from Minsker. She's definitely showing that she's not afraid of Sierra Romero, giving her 2 very nice strikes that Romero has decided to hold off on, and now she finds herself 2-2.
Romero steps in, shows bunt, pulls back. The 2-2 pitch is grounded into the hole up the middle, base hit. Lawrence rounding second, heading to third, and now she'll go home as the ball got under the glove of the right fielder, Kriegshauser. Lawrence scores. Romero down to second on a single with an error by the right fielder. And Michigan off to a hot start here in the bottom of the second, now leading the Eastern Michigan Eagles 4-1.
Well, she showed her one too many good pitches to hit. Romero took that one right in the gap. And again, a rough day out in right field defensively for Krieghauser. She's had a few harsh throws back in that weren't cut off that allowed a couple runs to come around, and then allowing that one to just fall under her glove for another error. So, again, out there, Kriegshauser got the home run, but defensively not as strong.
Good hit and no field so far for the three-hitter and the right fielder for Eastern Michigan. That'll bring up Kelly Christner now with Romero on second and no outs. The first pitch to Christner is taken for a called strike on the outer edge. Hammerschmidt goes up with the right hand.
Good pitch there from Minsker. She seems to, every time she's behind, she just comes back with a nice pitch and sets herself up, but then the Wolverines work her into a hard position.
The 0-1 pitch is popped up foul behind home plate, and that will get beyond the screen into the stands. Catcher Taylor Wagner sprinted back to the backstop, but ran out of room there. The count now 0-2 on Kelly Christner.
Wind blowing gently now from right to left field as the light sprinkle continues here at Alumni Field.
The 0-2 pitch to Christner taken just off the outer edge for ball one. Good eye up there by Kelly Christner. That one with a couple inches more toward the inside could have easily been a called strike three. Count now 1-2. Minsker working quickly. The 1-2 to Christner. Swing and a big cut and a miss. Christner sprinting down to first base. She thought that might have been in the dirt, but that was caught cleanly by Wagner, and Minsker records a big out, the first out of the second inning.
Oh, you got to feel a little bit better now that you got one under your belt, but she's going to face a tough Kelsey Sasala trying to get the second.
Susala in her last at-bat had an RBI single toward the right side. Christner now 0 for 2 on the day for the Wolverines. Susala takes her time in the box, standing pretty far up in the box. The first pitch to her is taken low and away for ball one. Minsker has found some success getting ahead of hitters. She succeeded in that endeavor with Swearingen and Ramirez at the end of last inning, and did the same with Christian, but once she's gotten behind, she's gotten in trouble. The 1-0 pitch to Susala, a fastball off the plate outside for ball two. The count now 2-0 on Susala.
Good eye again from Susala, getting herself ahead in the count 2-0. She's going to see something decent here from Abby Minsker.
Romero not taking too much of a secondary lead down at second base. The 2-0 pitch to Susala. Fastball in there for a called strike. Throw down to second from the catcher Wagner. It gets away from the covering second baseman Wyman, and Romero will scamper down to third base. Yet another error for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. The mistakes starting to pile up and show up as runs on the scoreboard.
That's going to make 3 errors now for the Eagles, and just a rough day defensively out in the field for them. Not quite sure if it's actual ineptitude or if the rain is coming into play here for them and affecting some of these tough throws. Might just slip out of the hand there, but definitely seeing it stack up as it's contributing to this 3-run lead that the Wolverines have.
Yeah, I'd imagine that rain is really an issue for everybody trying to make a quick transfer and throw out there. The 2-1 pitch now to Susala is popped up foul, high and well out of play. That ball will get beyond the bleachers on the left-hand side of the infield. And the count now 2-2 as Minsker has battled back from behind in the count 2-0. Taking a brief break on the field as we get a fresh softball out there for the pitcher Minsker.
We see her continually blowing on her hand, just trying to warm it up there. Definitely, like we mentioned earlier, the cold possibly coming into play. Her hand maybe not as comfortable as it normally is gripping around that ball.
Minsker looks in. The 2-2 pitch to Susala. Off-speed pitch lofted into the left field, down the left field line. That will land foul and out of play.
And Barnes just, oh, come on. I want to see one lay out there. Make a good grab in foul territory.
Again, Jeremy asking for a sacrifice of the body out there. And, I think that there might have been a pitching substitution somewhere along the line because Minsker wears number 13. We have number 15 on the mound. That's Lindsey Rich's number, but we'll have more on that for you in a second. The 2-2 pitch is swung on and missed in the dirt. Susala down on strikes.
Another big strikeout.
The Eastern Michigan pitcher, we're going to call her Minsker for now, records 2 big strikeouts in a row. And that will bring up Lindsay Montemurano with 2 outs and Sierra Romero waiting on third base, wanting to be driven home.
Perhaps it's Minsker and she just lost her jersey, and perhaps it's not.
Montemurano swings and drives one toward left field. That one will get over the head of the left fielder. Will get down for a base hit. Montemurano rounding first, slides into second base with a two-out double, a two-out RBI double. Romero scores from third base. Barnes not able to track that one down and left. A rocket off the bat of Montemurano gives the Wolverines a 5-1 lead here in the bottom of the second inning.
Well, the first thing they teach you in Little League is not to hold your glove up and block your vision of the fly ball, and that's exactly what Barnes did, just kind of poking out there with her glove, hoping that she'd run into it with an extended arm, and I think she just lost sight of it for a moment there, and it fell right past her.
And I do believe that is Lindsay Rich on the mound for Central Michigan. Her first pitch off the plate outside to the right-handed hitter, Haley Wagner.
Well, it appears that at the half-inning change, they did change pitchers.
Yeah, either that or we were handed an errant lineup card. Either way, 1-0 pitch to Wagner is taken high for a ball. Montemurano not taking much of a lead off of second base. Outfield shaded fairly deep on the righty hitter, Wagner. Rich taking her time out on the circle, looks in. The 2-0 pitch to Wagner is inside, and it hit her right on her left thigh. Wagner will trot down to first base with another two-out base runner, and that'll set it up for Aiden Falk coming up to bat with 2 on and 2 outs.
She wasn't bothered one bit by getting hit by the pitch there. It didn't even phase her. Just bounced right off the leg, back into the backstop, and she was already at first base by the time they collected it.
Yeah, and you know that'll happen when you are numb from the cold, and I guess I can identify with that because I can't feel my hands up here.
That's why they invented pockets, Morris.
Yeah, well, I got to hold the line up, man. I'm just trying to do my best, give it my all for our listeners. So
it is Lindsay Rich out there.
It is Lindsay Rich. Lindsay Rich in the circle for Eastern Michigan. Her first pitch to Falk is grounded softly down the first baseline, picked up in foul territory by the first baseman, Clark. If she had gotten to that one a little sooner, it would have been the end of the inning for the Wolverines. That one did not have anything on it off the end of Falk's bat. But Aiden Falk given new life by the spin of that softball.
Oh, Coach Carol Hutchins was up with the arms at first base before the ball even touched foul territory, making it very known that she wanted that foul ball.
Off-speed pitch from Rich is in there for a called strike on 0-2, and I believe Hutchins is down at third base. I think it's one of the assistants down at first base for the Wolverines.
Yeah.
But either way, count 0-2 now on the catcher, Aiden Falk. Rich winds, throws, off-speed pitch is lofted into shallow left field down the line, and out of play over the fence. That ball had a ton of spin from right to left and just found its way out of the park. So Falk spoiling a pitch and staying alive at the plate.
It appears as though Wagner's running with a jacket on here. Definitely interesting as it is cold out there.
The 0-2 pitch now to Aiden Falk, swinging a pop-up foul out of play on the left side. Rich tried to pour a fastball in there, but Falk able to spoil that one again, just staying alive, not letting Rich put her away via the strikeout.
Whether it's a fan or a player, we're going to see somebody make a stretch out here on one of these foul balls and make a fantastic top 10 worthy grab.
You know, Jeremy, we don't have that protective glass in front of us anymore. Maybe it's going to be you.
I'm ready. I'll jump right out over this bar.
The 0-2 pitch again to Falk is a fastball taken high and out of the zone. Aiden Falk not tempted by that one. That was well above the eye level. The count now 1-2. Lindsay Rich desperately trying to put an end to this 2-out rally. Rich the windup and the pitch. Swinging a grounder down the first baseline, picked up in foul territory by the first baseman, Clark.
Staying alive, staying alive.
Falk doing her best to maintain this at bat. She's had a couple dribblers off the end of the bat down the first base line that fortunately for her and for the Wolverines have trickled foul. The count 1-2 still on Falk. Rich winds, delivers another top chopper down the first baseline, foul. Clark makes a couple steps over and fields it, and Falk just wasting pitch after pitch.
And staying alive. Can you feel it, Morris?
And they did not tune into this broadcast to hear an homage to the Bee Gees. Aiden Falk doing her best rendition, though. 1-2 pitch again from Richards, lined off the glove of the diving second baseman. She picks it up, though, and flips over to first base. for the easy out. Good play there by Wyman to keep that ball in front of her and record the final out of the inning. So we'll head into the top of the third. The Wolverines tallying a couple more runs. They lead 5-1 over the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
That's sacrificing the body there. Wyman laying out to stop that ball and get it over to first base. That's what I've been waiting for, Mo.
Jeremy Parks finally got the highlight play. Unfortunately for the Michigan fans out there, it came at the expense of the Wolverines. So we'll head into the top of the third inning. Wolverines leading 5-1. And do you think Eastern Michigan has a chance to battle back in this one?
There's always a chance to battle back, Morris. Never count a team out before the final out is recorded. But it's going to be a tall task here if Haley Wagner keeps coming with the stuff that she's been coming with all afternoon.
Wagner, through 2 innings pitched, has not had to work much. She's recorded 2 strikeouts and has only given up 1 base runner. If you could call it giving up a base runner when that base runner trots all the way around the bases. Kriegshauser, the only solid swing we've seen out of the Eagles today. Her home run to left field, the lone run for the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Well, this is far from a docile lineup for the Eagles, and I think once they all come around once and they see Wagner, I think the second time around the order, you're definitely going to see a little bit of an improvement in some of the cuts taken.
Well, we shall see. Well, to lead off this inning for Eastern Michigan, it will be the bottom part of the order. Abby Davidson and Haley Hostetler will start the inning for Eastern Michigan before they return to the top of the lineup, the portion of the team that has seen what Wagner has to offer today.
Morris had enough of the Bee Gees, but we'll listen to some Rihanna here as we wait for the start of this top of the third inning.
Perhaps you could hear it if you turned up the ambient mic or if you were in attendance for this game, and we do have a lot of people in attendance for this one. Really, it has dwarfed the portion of people who've come out to Ray Fisher today. The fans come out and support this softball team. They love this softball team, and the softball team is returning the favor as they have had a very good year so far.
Ever so popular, and they've really built a dynasty here in the last 2 decades with Coach Hutchins, and there's a reason that so many people come out to see this team, and there's a reason that this team was the first program to ever win a College World Series east of the Mississippi River.
Yep, and I, as well as you and the rest of WCBN, just have to enjoy being along for the ride. Now, Abby Davidson, the right-handed hitter, open stance, steps up to the plate. The first pitch from Wagner is a ball off the plate and maybe a bit below the knees outside. That one looked like a pinpoint strike to me.
It did from up here, but again, Coach Elizabeth Hammerschmidt, the home plate umpire, definitely a little bit conservative with her strike zone. Coach Hutchins giving her a piece of her mind from the dugout.
The 1-0 pitch from Wagner is fouled off. A late cut there by Davidson, chopped behind home plate. The count now even at 1-1. And our vantage point, probably not the best. Aiden Falk walking over toward the dugout. That foul ball may have caught her on her throwing hand, her left hand, and she's being looked at by a couple trainers over there.
That's a little ding. It looks like the tape's going to come out immediately here.
Yeah, perhaps skimmed out the hand, perhaps a fingernail issue, a blister. Who knows? It's being worked on pretty quickly. Falk looks like she is in a bit of pain.
Always a danger when you get behind the plate. You're right in the line of fire. Whether it's the bat coming at you or foul ball, something, you get dinged up a lot as a catcher out there. We see it in every level of the game.
Aiden Falk looks like she is going to tough it out. I think one of the assistants is making some motions, or that's Carol Hutchins making some motions toward players in the field. Tough to tell right now whether we're going to need to see a replacement catcher come on. The Wolverines do have a few on the roster, and Megan Swift, Lauren Connell, and Lauren Sweet.
Well, I'm no lip reader, but it did look like Coach Hutchins did turn to home plate umpire Hammerschmidt and say, "We're okay," potentially wondering if they would need a substitution, which would need to go down in her book.
So Falk has a bandage. It looks like her left thumb that has been wrapped up and shedding a couple tears back there. I'm sure it was painful. Wagner throws with a lot of velocity, and with that change of direction, it's tough to prepare yourself for the impact of a foul ball.
Well, right on the bare hand, too. That wasn't gloves. That wasn't anywhere where there was padding. Just right onto the bare skin.
And it really stings out here, and I can't emphasize it enough.
Cold
It's
does not
very,
help.
It's very cold, and it might have a bit of a numbing effect later on, but for now it's just nothing but pain for Aiden Falk. Falk will, however, tough it out, stepping back out there, taking some tosses with her pitcher Wagner, and
to a round of applause from the sizable crowd here at Alumni Field as she toughs it out.
yeah, they appreciate the dedication that Falk has shown you. The Wolverines may not be selling out their bodies for diving catches, but they're selling out their bodies just to stay out there on this very chilly Tuesday afternoon.
In any way, when you give it up for the game, that's what it's all about.
So Wagner about ready to step back on the bump. 1-1 count on the junior Abby Davidson. The 1-1 pitch from Wagner is off speed, taken high and out of the zone by Davidson for ball 2. The count now 2-1.
Well, she brought a little bit of high cheese to the meeting there, but Davidson not taking a bite of it.
Count now 2-1 on Davidson, hitting 220 on the year. Fastball lined softly right into the glove of Haley Wagner. Took a couple steps to her right off the ground, off of the circle, and snagged that one before it could hit the ground. 1 up, 1 down for Eastern Michigan to start third inning.
She can throw the ball and she can catch it too, and just a good throw back down to first to Swearingen after the catch was complete. And flashing it on all sides of the ball today is Haley Wagner on her birthday.
Yeah, Wagner has shown good instincts out on the bump for the Wolverines. That'll bring up Haley Hostetler. The first pitch from Wagner is taken high, well out of the zone. Hostetler lets it go by for ball 1. The freshman Haley Hostetler, the shortstop, hitting 232 on the season for Eastern Michigan in 30 games and 82 at-bats. 3 home runs and 9 RBI. Fastball from Wagner is popped up in foul territory, and it will land between home plate and first base for a short strike. The count now 1-1.
Definitely Wagner is continuing the theme that she's left off with this production that she has brought to this game, with the singular exception being the solo shot from Kriegshauser back in the first inning. Just an early bump in the road here for the Wolverines and Haley Wagner.
Hostetler standing almost at the front of the batter's box. The 1-1 pitch from Wagner, a fastball high and outside. Hostetler lets that one go by with ease. The count now 2-1 on the freshman shortstop, the 9-hitter for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Wagner looks in, gets the sign, working quickly. The 2-1 pitch, grounded softly toward third. Good stop by Monty Morano. Her throw over to first beats the runner in time. 2 up, 2 down for Eastern Michigan. And that'll bring up the top of the order in Miranda Barnes. Barnes struck out in her first at-bat.
Definitely not an easy throw. Cross the diamond from Monty Morano. Swearingen able to pick it up right there, and just a good, solid throw across the diamond to record the out there from Monty Morano.
Usually we have seen Tara Blanco play first base for the Wolverines, but Coach Hutchins opting to put Monty Morano in the lineup, and thus far it has paid off.
Yeah, it's been an interesting look at what they're going to do with the third base position. Definitely a little bit of a battle occurring there between Swearingen, Blanco, and the whole gang, who's going to play first and third and who's going to sit.
The first pitch to Barnes was fouled off the screen behind home plate, and now with an 0-1 count, Wagner will look in, get her sign. The 0-1 pitch, fastball low, and might have even gotten between the legs of Barnes if she tried to get out of the way of that one. That one way off the plate inside. Count even at 1-1. Falk takes some time trying to settle down her lefty pitcher Wagner.
Still toying with that left hand a little bit there. Kind of putting some heat on it. Helped the sting a bit from that foul ball that did catch her. But she's still hanging tough out there.
Wagner plays with the rosin bag a bit, now ready with the 1-1. Swinging a chopped foul toward the Eastern Michigan dugout on the third base side. The count now 1-2 as Wagner has a chance to repeat her feat from the last time she faced Miranda Barnes. Ahead in the count 1-2 is Wagner. Wagner has 2 strikeouts on the game so far. The windup in the 1-2 pitch, off-speed pitch, swing and a miss. Barnes down on strikes, and that'll do it for the top half of the third inning. We head to the bottom half with Michigan still holding on to that 5-1 lead over the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Crafty work there from Wagner, just working the off-speed, not expecting it. Was Barnes. She took a cut at it. definitely went right through it. Just a good pitch again from Haley Wagner to get herself out of that inning with no damage done. And the only hit she's given up, still the solo shot to Kriegshauser back in the first inning.
Kriegshauser will bat next inning for Eastern Michigan. You know, one thing I've noticed, Barnes, as well as several other softball players that I've seen over my brief span calling games, have a bit of a run-up in their swing. They run up through the box to try to get their momentum going toward first base, slap it somewhere. Obviously, this is more for slap hitters than power hitters, but I feel like that would just render you really helpless when an off-speed pitch comes in, because so much of what goes into hitting any sort of ball, baseball or softball, is timing. And I would think that it would be really hard to get the timing right when you're running up, expecting a fastball and the ball just stops and drops out of the zone.
Again, and we've also discussed how that timing is being affected by the cold out here today. Definitely not making it any easier for some of these slap hitters.
Speaking of slap hitters, Abby Ramirez waiting on deck to start this inning as Taylor Swearingen, the leadoff for the Wolverines. They were both followed by the top of the lineup and Sierra Lawrence. So Michigan getting plenty of reps for their hitters in this game today. My hands have moved to my pockets as it is cold and getting increasingly colder out here
as the night wears on. But these girls down here, they don't have any coats on, Morris. What do you got to say about that?
I got to say that they're a lot tougher than I am. Taylor Swearingen steps into the box. She struck out with the bases loaded in her last at-bat. The first pitch to the freshman Swearingen is an off-speed pitch called strike, about belt high.
Lindsay Rich definitely finding these pitches since she came into the game, putting them in there a lot nicer and a lot more controlled than we saw from Minsker early on here.
The 0-1 pitch to Swearingen, a fastball lined into the hole between third and second, into left field for a base hit. Swearingen doing with a good swing on a one-strike pitch, got out in front and yanked it into the hole.
Right over the top of the extended glove of the third baseman Davidson, and just a good cut from Swearingen to get herself on base and get the inning going for the Wolverines here.
And that will bring to the plate Abby Ramirez. Ramirez grounded out softly up the middle in her last plate appearance. Infield has her shaded way and expecting a bunt here from Ramirez. First pitch from Rich is taken low for a ball. Ramirez not showing bunt. As is the norm, the outfield has Ramirez also shaded several steps toward the plate as opposed to their normal positions.
Swearingen only one attempted steal this season, and she was successful in that one attempt.
Ramirez lines that one up the middle, through the gap, past the center fielder, all the way to the wall. Swearingen rounding third. She'll head home. There will be no throw to the plate, and Ramirez coasts into second with a double. And that's the consequence for playing your outfielders that far in. The center fielder, Lucas, not able to cut that one off, and Ramirez flashing a bit of the pop in her bat with an RBI double.
Just a little bit. You play her short, and you don't have that side-to-side mobility that you would were you seeing it from a deeper position in the outfield, and that really did come back to bite the center fielder, Lucas, as it rolled all the way back to the 222 sign in deep center field before she could get her glove to it.
The batting barrage continues for the Wolverine women, and now up to the plate is Sierra Lawrence, who has yet to record an official at-bat in today's game as she has walked in both of her plate appearances. First base is open for her right now. Rich readies. The first pitch to Lawrence is taken off the plate low and away for ball one.
And she's not going to complain. If she can take walks all day, she'll take them. Putting runners on base is the key for the Wolverines here, and they've been doing a lot of it today.
Good eye there from Lawrence, and always an opportunity to pad the run totals for Michigan and pad the OBP stats. The 1-0 pitch is taken high and out of the zone for ball one. Not sure whether that was an off-speed pitch or a fastball, but didn't have a ton of zip on it out of the right hand of Rich.
Looked like a fastball she tried to control up in the zone there and just lost it.
So Rich, the 2-0 pitch to Lawrence is low in the dirt, taken for ball three, and there seems to be a force field around the strike zone for pitchers facing Sierra Lawrence right now, as she is one ball away from her third consecutive walk in as many at-bats. Rich taking her time, trying to settle herself down and get back into the zone. The 3-0 pitch to Lawrence is taken high out of the zone. A fastball missed again, and Lawrence Down to first with yet another walk. This is not a recording. This is not a broken record. Lawrence has walked all 3 times.
And I don't think there's going to be too much to say about it other than she just needs to stand in there and take her pitches thus far. She did work a couple good counts in her previous 2 at-bats, but just a 4-pitch walk there, and she's going to do a little dance on first base.
Got to get loose out there in this cold. That'll bring up Romero. The first pitch from Rich is in the dirt off the plate inside. Romero lets it go by. Ramirez taking a bit of a secondary lead over at second base. The catcher, Wagner, getting up and making sure that she gets back into second.
It's going to be 5 straight balls out of the hand of Lindsay Rich. See if she comes back with something to center her here, struggling to find the strike zone.
The 1-0 pitch to Romero, swinging a high fly ball. Foul territory down the third base line, and it will be caught easily by the shortstop, Hostetler. That one looked like Romero was trying to golf it right out of the ballpark and just missed by an inch.
Well, she took a big cut at it and got a little bit underneath it and just picked it up a little too much. It carried to the spin, took it over to the third base side, and an easy out over on the third base side there for Davidson.
And that'll bring up Kelly Christner with 2 on and 1 out. The first pitch, a fastball, missing low and off the plate. Christner let that one go by. The count now 1-0. The lefty Christner is 0 for 2 on today's game. One of the few bats in the top of the lineup yet to get on base. The 1-0 pitch is swung on and missed. Christner with a big cut on an off-speed pitch off the plate outside.
And that one just fell right out of the zone for her. Chased after it and couldn't find it.
Christner in search of that first hit of the day. She has been on fire for the Wolverines as of late, has moved to within 1 home run of the team lead on the year with 12. The 1-1 pitch is lined into center field. Past a diving Lucas all the way to the wall. Ramirez scores from second. Lawrence will score from first base, and Christner into second base with a 2-run double. An absolute rocket up the left center field gap. Michigan, the parade around the bases continues, and they now lead 8-1.
And just a great rip there from Christner. And the center fielder, Lucas, out there did dive for it, and Barnes chased after it as well, laid out there for it. Just a little bit too fast for them to get to it, as that was a laser shot back into the left center field wall for Kelly Christner. She brings 2 more around and gives the Wolverines a 7-run lead.
And Lindsay Rich in this wet weather being hung out to dry as the Wolverines continue to hit the ball hard out here. That'll bring up Susawa. The first pitch to her is a fastball high and out of the zone. And out there you had Jen Lucas giving up her body for the game, but not coming up with the results there.
Well, you don't always get to make the flashy play, but when you go for it, that's what counts. And she let herself take the dive just a little bit too short.
The 1-0 pitch to Susawa, a ball high out of the zone again. Rich not able to keep the pitch down, and Taylor Wagner, the catcher, will come out for a brief conference at the mound. It seems like there have been plenty of those over the course of this 3-inning game so far.
And these Wolverine bats have just been scorching everything that's come towards them. Not very surprising that there have been a lot of mound meetings for the Eastern Michigan battery here today. No matter who's on the bump for the Eagles, it's been some continual struggles against these torrid bats for the Wolverines.
Wagner goes back behind home plate. It's a brief conversation with the home plate ump Elizabeth Hammerschmidt, and ready to get back under the way. The 2-0 pitch from Rich is a fastball in there on the outside corner at the knees. Great location on that one. That's not a pitch Susawa is going to swing at ahead in the count 2-0.
And I think Wagner came out there and told Rich right where to put it in that mound meeting, and she put it right on a dot for her there and got a good strike.
The 2-1 pitch off speed off the plate outside. Susawa lets that one go by. The count now 3-1.
Wagner tried to frame that one back behind the plate again, and she's going to have a word with Hammerschmidt there as the struggles continue for Eastern Michigan in finding the plate.
3-1 pitch to Susawa. Susawa swings and lines that one into right field. It'll drop in for a base hit. The right fielder, Krieghauser, comes up with the throw home. It is not in time. Christner took off on the play and scored from second base. An RBI single for Susawa. The Wolverines now lead 9-1.
And Kriegshauser was lucky that one dropped right in front of her. She didn't have to run too far for it, and that prevented Susawa from getting any further. But again, the damage is done, and that just continually increases the lead here for the Wolverines.
That'll bring up Monte Morano, and Kriegshauser there tried to make a sliding catch. Good effort on that one. came up with it, scooped it, and the umpires correctly ruled. I think Andy Trent was out there, indicated that was a trap and not a sliding catch. We don't have the benefit of instant replay, and while it was a fairly obvious call from up here, I've seen worse calls made.
It looks as though Lindsay Rich went to the dugout for something for a moment.
And now we're going to see Abby Minsker on the mound for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. It has been Rich for the majority of this game, but Minsker will take some warm-up pitches on the mound and get ready to face Monty Morano. Monty Morano will hit with one out here in the bottom half of the third inning. Susala on first base after that single.
And we are positive that it is Minsker out there now, number 13, on her back. So we have confirmed that there has been a pitching change. We were not initially sure if there was a change, if it was initially Minsker and then Rich and now Minsker again. We are led to believe that it was Rich who initially started the game, who we continually called Minsker. Now Minsker coming into the game for Rich. So a little bit of a confusing predicament here for us WCBN broadcasters, but we worked through adversity, Morris, and we figured it out.
Rich with a poor outing today for the Eastern Michigan Eagles, but Minsker will attempt to try to limit the damage this Wolverines lineup has done. All of the bats have been hot today on this very, very cold evening. The lights are on over Alumni Field. It's getting later on in the day, but these fans have come out in droves, and they have stayed for the whole competition.
Well, we'll give you the actual stat line on Abby Minsker now, coming in with 1 loss and no wins in her 10 appearances, 5.56 ERA, and 22 2/3 inning pitched, just averaging under a run an inning given up. So, again, she's going to have to come out here and see what she can handle against these Wolverine bats that have been on fire today.
Monte Morano with an RBI double in her last at-bat takes the first pitch low for ball 1. The final line for Lindsay Rich will be 2 1/3 innings pitched, 8 hits given up, 5 walks, and 9 runs, 8 of which were earned, although she did have her fair share of defensive miscues behind her.
A bit of a rough day out there for her, for sure. So we'll see what the Eagles can do to pick up some of the slack left here.
The 1-0 pitch to Monte Morano is off-speed taken again low. Count now 2-0 on Monte Morano. A lot of pop in her stocky frame. The 2-0 pitch now from Minsker, swinging a chopper foul down the third baseline and into the camera area. Somebody over there had to move their legs, swing their legs out of the way.
Well, we'll look at what the Wolverines have done in the first 3 innings here, posting 3 runs in the first, 2 in the second, and now 4 in the third. To be continued, though, as the at-bat continues for Lindsay Montemurano as they get a fresh ball out to Minsker.
Out now 2-1 with Susala on first base. Off-speed pitch. Just misses high. Not a lot of room to work with in Monte Morano's strike zone, and wisely lets that one go by. The count now 3-1 on the third baseman.
Looks like Minsker's going to take her time, maybe adjust something with her hand, get a little warm-up going there.
The 3-1 pitch now from Minsker is taken high out of the zone for ball 4. Monte Morano will trot down to first base. Susala moves over to second, and with 1 out, that will bring up Haley Wagner. Wagner yet to record an official at-bat on today's. She hit a sacrifice fly into right field in her first at-bat, I think she walked in her first at-bat, hit a sac fly to right in the second inning, and now in the third inning, a chance to do some more damage in support of her own cause. She takes the first pitch low for ball 1.
A good eye there, just struggling to find the strike zone as Minsker since she came out of the dugout to replace Lindsay Rich. And there's going to be yet another meeting between the battery of Wagner and Minsker out in the circle as Wagner toys with her bat, awaiting the return of Wagner to the rear of the plate.
That path from home plate out to the pitching circle becoming well-worn today. It's been all offense for the Wolverines.
Definitely the road more taken for the Eagles today than the path to the dugout.
And the path around the bases, for that matter. The 1-0 pitch to Wagner is a fastball high and outside. Wagner lets that one go by about belt high, not tempted to lift the bat off the shoulder, given the lack of command we've seen out of Minsker thus far. Minsker stares at her glove, looks in, gets the sign. The windup and the 2-0 pitch to Wagner. Fastball in there for a called strike at the belt.
That would be a good centering pitch to get her back in there. Still behind in the count, 2-1, but good to know that you can still put the ball over the plate. Good confidence booster, if a small one nonetheless.
Minsker, not much of a strikeout pitcher, doesn't have overpowering stuff. The 2-1 pitch to Wagner. Fastball just off the plate outside. Wagner did her best job to try to frame that one on the outer edge, but home plate up. Hammerschmidt has been calling a pretty tight zone today and was not fooled.
And again, there is a place to put Wagner, but do you want to load the bases with just one out?
The 3-1 pitch, swing at a fly ball golf down the left field line and foul that will land on the roof of the batting cage out there in left field. The count now full on Haley Wagner here with one out and runners on first and second.
Good cut from Wagner. Definitely pulled it just a little bit too much down that third base line.
Looked like a pitch that she wanted to drive. Looked like she wanted to drive that one out to left field.
Just got to get those hips around it at the right moment.
The full count pitch is just off the plate outside. Another walk, 2 batters and 2 walks for Abby Minsker thus far for Eastern Michigan. And that loads the bases for Aiden Falk, who is hitting 0 for 1 today.
That is killer if you're Minsker. A very, very close pitch. Hammerschmidt giving Haley Wagner her base, but the shortstop, Hostetler, is going to come over and tell Minsker, it's all right, just focus on the next out.
The first pitch to Falk is in the dirt, off the plate outside. The count now 1-0, and they do not have any place to put Aiden Falk.
Quick time here.
I'm out in, I believe, the Eastern Michigan coach coming out to exchange some words with her pitcher. There's still plenty of activity out beyond the left field fence in the Eastern Michigan bullpen. You have no clue who is warming up out there, but needless to say, they will be working a little bit quicker, given the trouble that Minsker has worked herself into.
Definitely a bit of a sticky situation here. See what Minsker can provide for the Eagles to get them out of this very extended bottom of the third inning.
Falk standing in the lefties batter's box. Not one of the premier hitters in this Wolverines lineup, but she is no slouch herself. 5 home runs, 29 RBI on the year. The 1-0 pitch to Falk, taken off the plate outside Minsker. Despite all the mound meetings, all the words whispered in her ear, cannot find the strike zone.
And it becomes a mental battle at this point, regardless of what anybody can come and tell you. It just becomes a matter of you getting into your own mind.
The 2-0 pitch is line high, deep into right field, and it'll settle into the glove of the right fielder Kriegshauser on the warning track. Scoring from third on the sac fly is Kelsey Susala. Moving over to third is Monte Morano. And that was an absolute bullet off the bat. I thought it had a chance to get out, but maybe that wind blowing in from right field knocked it down just enough.
Definitely scorched by Falk out to Kriegshauser, making the first solid catch she's made out there in right field today. And she hardly had to move. I think she took about a step and a half back, and it floated right into her glove. Hit right on a line, but the line wasn't high enough to get it over the yellow tape on the top of that wall out in right field.
Yeah, I'd say that ball caught Kriegshauser as much as she caught it. And now pinch hitting for the Michigan Wolverines, pinch hitting for Taylor Swearingen is Tara Blanco, the right-handed hitter and first baseman for the Wolverines. She's hitting .265 on the year. First pitch to Blanco is a fastball called strike on the outer corner. About thigh high, Blanco let that one go by.
And the RBI for Falk will give the Wolverines a 9-run lead, really breaking it open with 5 runs here in the bottom of the third inning. And it's not over yet with Tara Blanco at the plate.
The 0-1 pitch to Blanco, changeup, takes it low for ball 1. Monte Morano waiting on third base, trying to score that 6th run of the inning for the Wolverines. It would make it an 11-1 game, an 11-1 lead, putting them in the vicinity of a run rule victory. The 1-1 pitch to Blanco is swung on in a towering fly ball into shallow left field. The shortstop Hostetler will range onto the turf out there and make the catch far removed from her starting position. And that'll do it for the Wolverines in the bottom of the third inning, but not until after they tally 5 runs, doubling their total and leading the Eastern Michigan Eagles 10-1 heading into the top of the fourth.
The Wolverines definitely taking what was a manageable game for the Eastern Michigan Eagles and really ripping it open there with 5 runs in the bottom of the third. And we're going to have a quick rendition here of Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline, a classic at Boston Red Sox games finding its way to Alumni Field. And we'll turn the ambient up for you as you can listen to that one while we wait.
The crowd, I don't know if the crowd is feeling it too much, but Jeremy certainly is feeling it.
Well, you got to wait until you get to the great line.
The chorus. Are you going to sing along, Jeremy?
Are you going to come with me, Mo?
No, I'm not. I'm
come
trying to keep this a professional broadcast here for our viewers.
This is awesomely professional. The only thing that's not professional might be my vocals.
Yeah, we are.
Touching heads. Oh, and they cut the song off right as we break into Sweet Caroline, Mo.
I think somebody is singing this in the crowd, and it's not doesn't really do Neil Diamond justice. I gotta say.
I believe it's a sing-off with a fan in the stands.
Maybe they are.
You, Sweet Caroline. Ba, ba, ba.
Good times never felt so good.
So good. So good. So good.
All right. Enough of that. We're getting forward. Underway here.
They're tending to the infield.
Thank goodness we weren't involved in that singing contest because it would have been rather embarrassing, the results. You can let us know what you think of our performance out here, interacting with us at WCBN Sports on Twitter, or you can comment on our YouTube videos or what have you. We're always eager to interact with you out there because without you, there would be no point to us doing this other than watching the best school in the world, athletics.
Morris, not a fan of my Bee Gees, not a fan of the Neil Diamond. What can I do right out here, Morris?
How about you call some play-by-play? Now we're going to switch roles. Jeremy's going to be calling play-by-play for the remainder of this one.
And Mo's going to bring out his best color palette and give you some analysis. That'll bring Jen Lucas to the plate, and the first pitch from Wagner to Lucas is going to be fouled off to the first base side. Swearingen comes over and makes the easy catch for the first out of the inning.
That'd be Tara Blanco actually made that catch.
Blanco did make the pinch hit. My mistake. So that would be Tara Blanco ranging over to make the catch in foul territory for the first out.
The Wolverines with a lot of depth at the corner infield spot, and they have showcased all of that today.
And that'll bring Michelle Krieghauser, who had the solo shot back in the first inning, to the plate for the Eagles. And the first pitch from Wagner is going to be in there for a ball on the outside part of the plate.
Wagner pouring in that fastball. Still not afraid to face Kriegshauser, but maybe a little more careful with her location now.
The 1-0. It's going to be swung on and belted into shallow right field as Susala ranges over and makes the easy catch for out number 2 in a seemingly quick inning starting here for Haley Wagner.
Yeah, 3 pitches and 2 outs. Doesn't get much easier than that. Maybe the Eagles know that it is Haley Wagner's birthday, and their present to her is returning her to the comforts of the dugout heat.
Well, we'll see what Abby Clark brings to the plate here. The junior number 19 at the plate. The first pitch from Wagner, low, swung on and missed as that one fell out of the zone, with Clark taking a chase, but nothing doing.
And what you see right now is a pitcher in masterful control, opting with a first pitch off-speed pitch despite the overpowering fastball we've seen out of the left hand of Wagner today.
The 0-1 from Wagner. It's going to be outside of the plate and up a little high for ball 1. 1 ball and 1 strike on Abby Clark. None on, 2 out here in the top of the 4th inning. The Wolverines lead 10-1. And the 1-1 is going to be swung on and missed on the high cheese as Clark took a cut that chased up in the zone and nothing finding the end of the barrel there.
The high cheese, ever so appetizing, but Abby Clark in that swing bit off more than she could chew.
1-2 from Wagner. Swung on and missed. Strike 3 for Haley Wagner in a quick inning of work. Just 7 pitches, and she's sitting back down next to the heater as we head to the bottom of the 4th inning here from Alumni Field in Ann Arbor. And the Wolverines lead at 10-1. You're listening to WCBN FM Ann Arbor's coverage of Michigan women's softball.
You know, I think that they're keeping warm in that dugout. They don't even need a space heater down there because Haley Wagner can supply all the heat that these Michigan softball players need. She has been pouring it in there, strikeout after strikeout, making it look easy out there for the Wolverines.
Well, Wagner supplying one side of the dugout with heat while the Michigan bats keeping the other side warm. It's just been a fuego performance from the Michigan Wolverines here today. The showers have stopped, and the field is still a bit moist, but luckily we are not getting wet in our position up here in the outside area of the press box as Morris warms his hands inside of his toque there.
I wish they could send some of those bats up here because I'm close to the point of actively shivering, I guess. Jeremy's over here in his hoodie and jeans, and I'm up here wearing several layers of long underwear, and I'm still on the edge of hypothermia. I guess I just run cold. You're running hot today.
The edge of manhood, Morris. You're nearly there. Take a couple layers off and join me.
Oh, well, maybe we'll save that for another day, Jeremy.
It's going to be Abby Ramirez leading it off here in the bottom of the fourth inning for the Wolverines. The Wolverines have posted 3 runs in the first, 2 in the second, and 5 in that last bottom of the third inning. So it'll be Ramirez at the bottom of the order, then back to the top with Sierra Lawrence and Sierra Romero, the 1-2 hitters. And it's going to be Abby Minsker still finding her way back out to the mound for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Minsker's first offering to Ramirez. Going to be up high at the head for ball 1.
Ramirez with a rocket up the middle and through the right center field gap in her last at-bat. I think she had hit a couple runners in with an RBI double.
1-0 to Ramirez. Swung on, just caught the top of the bat there and fouled back behind home plate to run the count 1-1 on Abby Ramirez.
Minsker running up in the zone with that one. Ramirez tried to chase and looked to be about the same spot where she drove her RBI double on, but not able to connect with that one.
The 1-1 from Minsker is going to be low and in the dirt, taking a bounce about 6 inches in front of home plate and up into the glove of the catcher Wagner. That'll be ball 2. Make the count 2-1.
Ramirez, I should say, ever the speedster, the third baseman Davidson playing way in on her.
The first base umpire, Haraberta, had a short word with Minsker, potentially about a mound infraction. So she's going to be a little bit more aware of her steps here. She puts her foot back on the rubber to bring the 2-1 to Ramirez. And that's going to be on the outside part of the plate, right at about knee level for ball 3. And we'll see if Ramirez is given the green light here to swing on 3-1. But before we see that, there's going to be yet another mound meeting with the Eastern Michigan head coach and the catcher Wagner coming in to talk with Abby Minsker.
And I'd say that early indications are that Minsker is going to be able to maintain her place out there on the rubber. She's digging with her heel into the turf next to the pitcher's rubber. I got to imagine, this whole field is made of turf, but I would think that the batter's box and the pitcher's area are too sacred to be foul with the unnatural artificial turf.
I'd agree with that. However, makes it nonetheless easier for Minsker on the mound, nor Ramirez in the box here as they dig in to that sacred dirt with the count 3-1 on Ramirez. And the 3-1's going to be swung on and popped into shallow center field, and that's going to be caught by a running Lucas out in center for out number 1 of the inning as Abby Ramirez pops out.
Jen Lucas, the center fielder. As the center fielder, you have to be the captain of the outfield, and that one kind of in no man's land between center and left field. Barnes probably had a better look at it than Lucas, but Lucas did the right thing, took charge, and made the catch for the first out of the inning.
1 out and none on for the Wolverines as Sierra Lawrence comes to the plate to start the order yet again for the Wolverines. This will be her 4th at-bat of the day and has not had a recorded at-bat yet with 3 walks, but the first pitch is going to be up and in again for another ball. And the 1-0 from Minsker is going to find its way in there right at about thigh-high level over the heart of the plate for a strike. She definitely took some stuff off there, Mo.
Sierra Lawrence can't believe her eyes. She saw a pitch over the plate.
It's been a rarity here the last little while for Minsker, and she's going to bring the 1-1. That's going to bounce right over the plate and up off of the glove of the catcher Wagner to the backstop, and they'll switch out the ball here as the count runs 2-1 on Sierra Lawrence.
Lawrence with some considerable pop in her bat, and while you never want to put anybody on base, especially not someone with the speed of Sierra Lawrence, with the way these Wolverines have been swinging the bat, it might be preferable to the alternative.
Minsker steps to the rubber with the 2-1 offering. Swung on and fouled back behind home plate, and that's going to be chopped a mile back outside of the stadium, it appears, over the fence, as a big cut from Lawrence draws a big foul and brings the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Lawrence going to have to adopt a bit of a defensive swing here. There are plenty of holes out there. The outfield playing her deep.
The 2-2 from Minsker. In there, called strike 3. Lawrence didn't lift the bat off of her shoulder, and a big strikeout there for Abby Minsker as she gets 2 quick outs to start off the bottom of this 5th inning.
It's hard to imagine Lawrence was expecting a strike there given what she has seen so far today. But, yeah, that was a good job by Minsker to just pour in the velocity. And I don't think that was really on the corner anywhere, just slotted it right over the heart of the plate.
And it is the bottom of the 4th correction as the Wolverines lead 10-1, and Amanda Vargas will step to the plate for the Wolverines with a quick meeting of the infield. And Abby Minsker, who has come back strong this inning with 2 quick outs.
Vargas hitting .349 on the year, giving Sierra Romero a brief rest.
And the first pitch to Vargas is going to be fouled back, and it's going to get over the netting there and into the stands on the third base side for strike 1.
One of the fans wearing a yellow raincoat got out of the way of that one, and, you know, I demand the same sacrifice from the fans that I would from the players. You got to catch that ball.
And it seems the color commentators today just have a big thing for diving catches and laying it out. But 0-1 to Amanda Vargas is going to be grounded to the shortstop and bobbled, and that's going to be another error for the Eastern Michigan Eagles as a shortstop. Hostetler couldn't field it off of a tough bounce, but nonetheless should have made the play. And that will leave Amanda Vargas on first base, the first base runner of the inning for the Wolverines, as number 21 will step into the plate for the Wolverines, Kelly Christner.
That ball had a lot of juice on it, and I think Hostetler made the right play to not charge it, because that short hop could have even been shorter and nastier had she moved in on it, but just not able to make the glove on a play that should be routine for most shortstops at this level.
The first pitch to Christner is going to be hit foul and then grabbed on the third base line by the third baseman, Davidson, and that's going to remain a fair ball as Christner is able to get to first base off of another uncomfortable fielding play from the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Yeah, that one off the end of Christner's bat, just a little dribbler down the line. Looked like it was going to trickle foul, but the third baseman, Davidson, got her glove on it before it could do so, and so the ball stays in fair territory. Christner goes down to first, and the inning continues for the Wolverines.
Now bring the right fielder, Kelsey Susala, to the plate. Runners on first and second with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning as the Wolverines lead 10-1. And the first pitch to Susala is going to hit her in on the shin. Unfazed, though, she's going to take her base, and a quick 2 outs for Abby Minsker here is going to turn into a bases-loaded 2-out situation that she's going to need to find herself out of as Lindsay Montemurano steps to the plate.
You got to feel for her. She's entitled to at least 4 outs in this inning, but just cannot escape this nightmare of a Wolverines lineup. And now Montemurano's going to hit with the bases juiced in 2 outs.
Minsker will step to the rubber for the first pitch to Montemurano. On the outside part of the plate for a ball. Count 1-0 on Montemurano. And you got to think, Mo, that a certain amount of any game comes to luck, and it seems as every bad break has gone against Eastern Michigan today.
The gods of Washtenaw County are in the Wolverines' favor today.
The 1-0 to Montemurano. Inside part of the plate, knee level for a strike, make the count 1-1.
And I got to imagine Montemurano, given how she has hit today, and the situation right now, is going to be looking to drive this one a long way.
Well, we'll see if Abby Minsker gives her anything to hit here as she brings the 1-1 to the plate. Up high letters on Montemurano for a ball. 2 balls, 1 strike. Bases are loaded with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Wolverines lead 10-1. Hits also in their favor, 9-1. And Eastern Michigan with 4 errors on the board today. And the 2-1 Montemurano is going to be up and outside again for ball 3. Nothing to swing at there as she just watches it whistle by up at head level.
Poor Abby Minsker has been hung out to dry by her team, by her infield in this inning, and now in danger of walking in 10th run, or a 10-run lead for the Wolverines.
3-1 pitch is going to be low and inside, and that will walk in the 11th run of the game for the Wolverines as Montemurano takes her base, and number 12 comes around to score for the Wolverines.
That's Vargas scoring from third base. Vargas got on thanks to the error by Hostetler. Now on third base is Kelly Christner, who is on thanks to the error by the third baseman Davidson. So Chickens coming home to roost.
Pitcher versus pitcher as Haley Wagner comes to the plate and faces Abby Minsker. The first pitch is going to be on the outside part of the plate for ball one to Haley Wagner, who is 0 for 0 again in today's game with a few walks and a hit by pitch. And that has kind of been the story today for the Eastern Michigan Eagles as the 1-0 comes to the plate up high on the letters for ball two. 2 balls, no strikes. And another quick meeting. It's been meeting after meeting today in the circle for both of the Eastern Michigan pitchers. Both Rich and Minsker struggling today. And that's visible on the board as the Wolverines have a 10-run lead up 11-1.
Looks like Eastern Michigan is just going to ride out the string with Minsker out there. Either that or they have her replacement sitting in the dugout right now because there's no activity in the bullpen.
The 2-0 swung on and fouled, chopped over onto the first base line and up into the netting for the first strike of the at-bat for Haley Wagner, and the count's 2-1.
Wagner with a smile on her face after that one. Probably an unwise decision to cut at that one off or out of the strike zone low on a 2-0 count, given Minsker's recent lack of command, but she's having fun out there. She's up 10 runs.
The 2-1 from Minsker. Outside again, in the attempted framework by the catcher Wagner not being seen by Hammerschmidt, the home plate umpire, and that'll run the count 3-1 with the bases loaded. And again, nowhere to put Wagner.
Gotta imagine Wagner's being given the green light despite the lack of command.
And Minsker steps to the rubber, and Wagner will swing at that one, and it will go foul right next to the camera well, being kicked away by the cameraman.
Another missile headed down there, perhaps. Michigan has a bit of a vendetta. Maybe they're not getting the Michigan players' good sides from that angle. Regardless, now with the full count, the runners will be off with the pitch.
And the 3-2 has Wagner sitting pretty with the bases loaded here.
Man, Wagner was all over that pitch. He's a little bit too far out in front.
And the full count. That'll be ripped again right at the cameraman for the third time this game, and he's just being used and abused over on the third base side there. And Wagner just keeps seeming to find him over on the third base side, but nonetheless, the count remains full. 2 outs and the bases loaded here in the bottom of the 4th inning.
Coach Hutchins and the cameraman Target exchanging words. I think he's telling Hutchins not to send the line drive foul sign to home plate.
And the payoff pitch. Swung on and fouled again by Wagner as she protects that plate. Keeps the count 3-2, bases loaded.
That wind really picking up here at Alumni Field.
Potentially audible within our microphones here. It's blowing a little bit harder from right to left field and slightly inwards. And the 3-2 pitch again is going to be a called strike 3 and a big payoff pitch for Minsker as she gets out of the bases loaded jam to end the bottom of the 4th inning. What started off with a quick 2 outs turned into a defensive nightmare for the Eagles. The Wolverines only tallying 1 run out of the affair, though, as they take an 11-1 lead heading into the top of the 5th here. We are at Alumni Field, and you are listening to WCBN's coverage of Michigan women's softball.
The entire Wolverines bench directly after that Wagner strikeout, sprinting out toward right field, moving around, trying to keep the limb stretched, keep warm. And I wish I could do that, but the string of my headset does not allow me much mobility up here in the booth. It is just getting colder, just getting windier, and we're toughing it out up here. But
now, Morris, correct me if I'm wrong. Since it is a 10-run lead and we are in the 5th inning, these could potentially be the final 3 outs for the Eagles.
I would correct you if you were wrong, but you are not wrong, and I am very hopeful that the Wolverines could put this one to an end. Unbiased up here, I'm only looking out for my own self-interest.
Morris toying with his hands inside his hat, blowing some warm air in there. He's struggling to keep warm up here as the wind's blowing into the outside portion of our press unit up here from Alumni Field as we were put out to dry today, given a table on the outdoors with a high media volume. So once again, we thank you for choosing WCBN to carry your coverage of this softball game.
We do thank those of you who have tuned into us through all of our antics and our shivering and, what have you. Makes it all worth it for us. It really does. From the bottom of my heart.
Which is probably very cold right now.
Every part of me is cold right now. The Wolverines, however, are looking to stay hot out here against the Eastern Michigan Eagles.
I'm going to get a couple quick hops in here.
It seems like every of the jokes and metaphors and all that stuff that I've made today, at least half have done with the temperature. Mine is a little bit preoccupied right now.
And that's just Michigan in April. So I'm personally surprised that it's not snowing out here tonight, Mo. But
man, I was wearing like a t-shirt yesterday. I don't know how it got this bad.
Well, he's got a t-shirt on again today, and then a couple more shirts, a couple sweatshirts, a couple pairs of long johns, and a winter coat.
Today's WCBN FM Ann Arbor broadcast, Michigan Softball, brought to you and sponsored by Under Armour. No, we don't have sponsors. We don't have money.
Regardless of money, that's going to bring a pinch hitter, Brandis. I can't quite catch it.
Brandis
Alvis to the plate. Number 14, the freshman for the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Wagner still working out there on the bump for the Wolverines, and the first pitch into her is a called strike. And working quickly is Wagner with the 0-1 foul back on the first base side netting to make the count 0-2.
Almost a pinch hitter for Eastern Michigan is hitting right now, I believe, for the second baseman, Katie Wyman.
And the count is 0-2 on Alvis. The 0-2 is fouled down the first base line. Good cut, just a little bit too off on the timing, and that'll roll down the first base line. Count remains 0-2 as Alvis remains in plate protection mode.
Almost has been behind on the Wagner fastballs, but she has gotten the barrel of the bat on the ball, made some really nice contact sound up there at the plate. If she can get her timing right, she might be able to square one up and drive it. Almost only hitting 185 on the year, though.
Wagner working comfortably here with the 0-2 count. And her delivery is up high, and almost not deciding to take a cut there, as that's ball one. Make the count 1-2, none on, none out. Here in the top of the fifth inning, it's final call for Eastern Michigan due to the run rule, as Michigan holds a 10-run lead. And the 1-2 from Wagner swung on and fouled back yet again behind home plate and into the backstop netting. Count remains 1-2.
Wagner all speed right now on the bump for the Wolverines, just trying to overwhelm the freshman almost with fastball and after fastball. And to her credit, didn't have an appetite for the high cheese and has been able to foul off pitches and keep the at-bat alive.
Absolutely. And we'll see what she brings here with the 1-2 as the foul balls continue to come from Alvis. The delivery is going to be in there for a called third strike, and Haley Wagner with a strikeout to begin the top of this fifth inning. And the Eastern Michigan Eagles down to their final 2 outs.
Well, you know what happens when you come in with fastball after fastball after fastball? The hitter expects a fastball, and then Wagner came in with the off-speed stuff, almost frozen in place on that one.
And that's just some masterful pitching there from Haley Wagner. And what a day she's having. She's another year older, and she's another year better at pitching. And we've seen it today. She's only given up the one solo shot to Krieghauser, otherwise a spotless record here today, the only hit of the game for Eastern Michigan. And that is going to bring Addie Duffy. I
think it's Aoife Duffy. Aoife Duffy, if I remember my pronunciation guide correctly.
Aoife Duffy, the junior, coming to the plate. We're seeing some fresh hitters here for the Eagles as they come out of time, but the first pitch to Duffy is going to be up for ball one. And the 1-0 from Wagner is going to be in there for a called strike on the outside edge of the zone.
God, could you imagine sitting in a dugout for 5 innings and then being brought out into this cold to face Haley Wagner the way she's going right now?
She's had some wicked stuff today. The 1-1 to Duffy is going to be trickled right back to Wagner. She's going to make the turn and throw down over to Blanco for out number 2. And that's going to make it one more out for Haley Wagner to record a one-hit game here on her birthday. And we'll see what happens here.
And she's going to do it against Lindsay Rich, the starting pitcher for Eastern Michigan. Didn't have her best day on the bump, looking to make amends here at the plate.
And Wagner's going to bring the first pitch. Swung on, foul back behind home plate into the backstop netting again for strike one.
Big cut there by Rich, but when Wagner's throwing as hard as she has been, it's really difficult to square it up. When you do connect, as Kriegshauser did, it can go a long way, but since the first inning, no Eastern Michigan Eagle has been able to connect.
The 0-1 here from Wagner. It's going to be low, just on the bottom edge of the zone, and the home plate umpire, Hammerschmidt, not giving the call. So ball one makes the count 1-1 on Lindsay Rich as Morris continues to shiver.
Well, you got to give it to her. Hammerschmidt has been consistent with her zone behind the plate.
The 1-1. Swung on, foul down the first base line by Rich, make the count 1-2 as they are down to their final strike. Morris now jumping up and down, getting some good cardio in.
Blanco taking her sweet, sweet time getting the ball into the dugout.
And it seems as though right now everybody's taking their sweet time, but the 1-2 here from Wagner. She looks to put this one away. Comes across the plate. In there, called strike three, and that'll do it as Haley Wagner strikes out Lindsay Rich to end the game, and the Wolverines take this one from the Eastern Michigan Eagles 11-1 by means of the run rule in 5 innings here. Just one hit given up by Haley Wagner, and the Wolverines are headed home with bragging rights over victors of Washtenaw County. And Morris, what'd you see out there today?
Well, the Wolverines dominated, overwhelmed on both sides of the ball. Now let's end the broadcast so I can go warm up.
Here from Alumni Field with Michigan winning this one 11-1. I'm Jeremy Parks, alongside me Morris Fabry. We'd like to thank you again for tuning in to WCBN FM's coverage of Michigan women's softball. We will leave you from Alumni Field with a good night and go blue.